skills and allows them to blossom in society, so people enjoy them. I think that is the ultimate goal, really.
But is that like, I can't really portray this properly, but is that sort of like an artificial achievement, or is that like, do you believe that that's a natural achievement?
Well, I know what you're saying, and I think that actually I posted, did you see the quote I had on Facebook today?
No,
it was awesome. I think that that's a really important question because it asks what success really means.
Well, I mean, because
and what and I think the problem with success,
diseases with diseases from mental diseases and that are on such a rise. Are we on the right track with our workplace, societies at the moment?
Yeah, and I think it comes down to people trying to seek satisfaction out of things that aren't necessarily going to give them that deep satisfaction that they're yearning for, because it simply doesn't speak to our biology, our soul, or whatever. But I think one of the misconceptions about success is that you're working towards something. And this quote says, I summed it up well, the unconscious assumption by many people's actions is that success is a future event and that the end justifies the means. But the end and the means are one, and if the means do not contribute to human happiness, neither will the end. And that's, I think, a really good point, because a lot of the happiness the deepest happiness that a lot of people would argue philosophically is the one that you gain from when you're living in the moment.
Yeah. And
you understand the power of now, like all that sort of thing, and you embrace every moment just for what it is, and you don't think about the past, and you don't think about the future as anything relevant to the present moment. It's just simply being who you are in that moment. And obviously you can you plan for the future and practicality and all that sort of thing. But it's about, success is about how present you are in every moment, because they're really, at the end of the day, the future and the past don't exist at all.
Yeah.
It's just all in your memories and all in your anticipation. So I think that's where people go wrong in when they try and make work that thing where they're going to finally be appreciated and contribute in a really meaningful way and succeed in whatever level they think it is they're succeeding in, and whatever markers they think that they're going to use to even determine whether or not they succeeded. It's interesting. Like, it's like, how much money have you made? Does that mean you've succeeded? Or how much, wait, how far up in the ladder have you gone? Oh, is that succeeded? Like, why are those things have anything to do with your success in life, when life is about being and living and someone's happiness? How can you...
Oh, I mean, obviously their brains have been confused and muddled by the... the extracurricular activities and the extracurricular sort of mediums that we're fed day in and day out. Like, I think our brains are just pretty much focused on things that aren't necessarily... Well, how many times have you heard people saying that, okay, people, how many people do you have in your job that just focus 110% and work their ass off for this company, and
I work for the government. No one works their ass off.
Yeah. Well, but then also can't come home and emotionally be attached to their children, or also can't come home and
Well, I've heard of those cases, but I personally haven't experienced them because I haven't done them myself, and I haven't worked in a place where people are like that.
I've seen
but I am sure that you've done it.
Yeah, I've done it.
Yeah. But I think one thing I will say, though, like, I think that there is a lot of satisfaction to be gained from expressing yourself out there and contributing to society in a very, a wholesome way, where you can be the best you can be and give something else that is meaningful and worthwhile putting out there. And I think that's where career is a great thing, and a lot of careers do that for people. They bring out the best in them and allow it to be shared amongst the people. Yeah. So that's always a good thing to offer. Everybody has a skill and something amazing that they can offer the world, and that's where work becomes relevant, because work enables you to go and work at that skill and fine tune it so that you can share it with society. And that's what work should be about. Obviously you need to feed yourself, but I don't know, that needs to be taken care of in some way. But at the end of the day, work needs to be a way which allows every person to nurture their inner gifts and present it to the world.
But that presents a massive problem with the way that career-based mentality is in the modern world today, because it's so hard to be able to contribute to society in different ways because it's so hard to be able to upskill or downskill, or like, you know, you're losing massive amounts of money, you're pigeonholed. Once you get, you know, to the age of like maybe 30 or 35, then you pretty much, that's it. You've got to hang around in there, or you've got to go and like, you know,
you mean once you
take
choose
the
a career
biggest
path,
risk.
once you choose a path,
That's
what's so sad, I think, about this Western society and stuff, and schooling. Like, I went to McRob, and it's basically just so academic, and you have to learn this. Like, the teachers would put us in a class, and the teacher would just tell us what to memorize, and he'd actually write the sacks for us, just tell us what to write, because it was all about just getting a good mark so that you can go to the uni, you go into the course that you want to do, so that you can do that for the rest of your life. And it's all about deciding exactly what you want to do for the rest of your life when you haven't even fully grown yet and understood how you feel about the world. When you're 16, 15, before you go into year 11, you have to decide what subjects you're going to do, which will determine what you're eligible to go into in uni. At 15, you need to decide this, and that affects your entire life. I mean, I know that with my degree, and when I finished my degree, I kind of look back, and not that I regret anything, but I sort of think, well, I actually could have done a different degree, which may have helped me a little bit better. But in order to have done that, I would have had to know that when I was 15, which is 8 years ago or whatever. Yeah. And that's ridiculous. Like, how was I to know? And so it is sad.
I didn't even have a fucking bar of it. They did, what my teachers used to say is like, do you realise that you're going to get a bad OP? Like, I was raised in Queensland, and you're going to get a bad overall position, and you're not going to be able to go to uni.
Is that what it stands for?
Overall position, yeah. And I did, and I was like, yeah, no, that's fine. They're like, well, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I was like, I want to be a supermodel. And I said that in an all boys class. Didn't matter because they were all pussies. Could have bashed them anyway. So I just used to run that. And then everyone laughed, and then it got to the point where it was like, the chips are down. Look, fuck, you know, you're not going to do well in your school and your marks, and okay, no worries. And no one could get over the fact that I just didn't care. So then they just let me sleep in the back of class.
Well, I mean, the amazing thing is that there are so many people in the world who have... A lot of the most successful people, especially entrepreneurs, are those who didn't finish school or didn't go to uni. Like my cousin, for example, is one of them. You know, he didn't go to uni. I think he finished high school, but he spent the first year out of high school sleeping on the shed of someone's... as the floor of someone's shed, building a boat, and in a year he built his first boat or something. He's just really handy and really like, he just somehow figures shit out and can do anything with his hands. And he built a boat, sold it, made his first like amount of money, and then after that he just invested, and he has a lot of drive and good common sense, and he is now a millionaire. There's so many stories like that though too. And
it's hard, but like, I mean, is it harder to get to that point today? Like, I mean, I'm sure it's not, but it's in different fields. Maybe more the digital field. You have to be sort of computer orientated. But like, I mean, I'm just saying, I think that like a lot of the property and that sort of shit is bought up.
I was going to say that. Like, a lot of the opportunities for investment like that are over.
I worked for this Jewish family, the best family I've ever worked for in my whole life. Well, one of the best. You know, there was another family.
Only because they weren't there ever.
Only because they never left me alone and let me do whatever the fuck I want. But his grandfather came to Melbourne after the Second World War, fleeing with a backpack on his back. And now, when the father died, he signed over 2 like 20-story buildings in Melbourne to the son. And now the son is awful businessman. He keeps making terrible decisions. And tried to invent this backpacker bed that accommodated everything and all these racks. You know, a backpack, if anyone has ever seen a backpacker bed, it's like 5 poles and 2 shitty mattresses. This thing was like the best 5-star backpacker bed you've ever seen. Bed, cover, so the light came out with, 15 drawers down the side, and like mirrors and shit everywhere, and like, you would never have to leave if you didn't want to. You could live in there
People lived there, didn't they?
Hey?
There were people who would live there for long periods of time. I remember them.
No, live in the bed. Like, if you wanted. Like, it had everything. Had bottle holders and this and that. And I was like, that's the stupidest fucking thing. Like, backpackers are, if you're backpacking, no one's going to pay 20 grand for a fucking double bed. Like, so a backpacker can live in luxury. But anyway, but the thing was, he could keep making these bad decisions over a Nectar Lounge. Terrible idea. Put a bar underneath a main city police station. And, just fighting constant battles with authorities to try and keep the bar open.
That's where we were working, by the way.
That's where we were working. So, for drunk people coming out all the time. So, he would have lost fucking millions on that. Because the fit out...
We didn't make anything, that's for sure.
The fit out cost like $1.5 million, and it was mainly through the GFC and all that, and it was just no one wanted to go out underneath the cop shop. So massive sound restrictions. So look,
so we just drank for them, and we had all the fun for other people that weren't having fun.
We smashed it. It was awesome, but the thing was it was a bad decision, but he will always just be raking in money because it doesn't matter how many bad businesses you have. The rent coming in monthly for whatever he owns is just phenomenal. Phenomenal. It just keeps going up and up and up and So I mean, it's really hard these days. Also another guy I work for down on Chapel Street in Melbourne. Maxed out 2 credit cards and got a $5,000 loan, opened up La La Land. Now he owns 9 bars up and down the street. He's invests. He's got a multi-millionaire. And this happened 50. I think. Well, how it's hard to imagine let's say he's trying to sell one of his bars now. You go and try and buy that bar. That bar, one of his bars that isn't doing well, it is worth probably about 400,000, 500,000. Now you have to try and make that money back, pay the interest on that. He opened up La La Land, he maxed out 2 credit cards and got a $5,000 loan. That's how much it cost him. You're talking about you have to go and try and now buy a bar for 400 grand. And then pay back that. Don't get me wrong, but you just don't make that much money. On shit these days, back in the day, you're just making more money.
Yeah, the opportunities were a bit more extreme back then. But how weird is inheritance? Because it's the effort. I mean, I understand that people who go out there and create businesses are really important because their efforts in creating this new business is what allows other people to go and work there and use their labour in a productive manner, which they wouldn't be able to do unless they had that business to work within. So, that's a great thing. And the same thing with building a big building in the city, which people can work in. That's awesome. But at what point does that effort from that human being that they've done come to an end? It's inheritance. It just keeps going on and gets more and more. Yeah. So the effort that person put in at time ago, how much effort can you put in, which creates a family's fortune hundreds of years down the track, which they just keep reaping the rewards of, where they don't have to do shit. They just inherit the reward of their great grandfather. I don't think that makes sense. I think that's a bit strange.
Well, I mean, I think there's a pretty definitive line against people who do inherit money and, generally speaking, and people who actually work and earn it and in their lifetime. The people who actually build from nothing and the people
who are actually producing something rather than just owning.
That's what I mean. Everyone, can go, "Oh, you rich fuck," or you can go, "Well, actually, that guy's got a lot of money and he treats everyone really nicely." Someone. You know what I mean? And I'm sure, generalisation, but that's a pretty definitive line that you can cut between those two people, and that's maybe the good and the bad of the world. So maybe what? So maybe well, that you could relate that to one of the major flaws of the economic system, the fact that you can hoard wealth and pass it down your bloodline, which is I think but once again, what if you can't give your family what you work for, then what can you give them?
Yeah, I mean that's true. If you help people around you, that's what you do. But I think a lot of it comes down to the equation of what you deserve and what you work for, and the people who inherit stuff, they just, because they haven't put in their own personal effort to get it, they simply don't appreciate that when they receive it. It's the equation is not balanced, and so there's no real. But once again, we've got entrepreneurs and all that. They work their asses off a lot of the time for what they get, and they appreciate that. And I think that's
there's a difference between. There's definitely different. a definition worthy of appreciation. Like, I appreciate it because I'm fucking happy and I don't have to, or appreciate it because I'm